I want to start this off by, I guess, asking you about your role as a photographer, creative director, producer, and essentially just what about those roles keep you inspired to continue the pursuit of growth and evolution as an artist?
I think what most inspired me about all of those roles is that in my case, I pretty much I gave myself those titles. I mean, and I feel as though because I was having this conversation with someone not too long ago, is that when it comes to like everything in like the creative industry, entertainment, and all the like just all those similar type of industries, one can give themselves any title they want. Like I can call myself an actor, I can call myself a painter, I can call myself whatever I want. But the thing about it is, though, if you begin to call yourself or give yourself a certain title, you have to, you eventually back it up.
Mm,
And so for me, it's like, photographer, that is something that's obvious. One can take anyone, like if you start taking pictures, you are a photographer. But when it comes to say like creative direction and producing, there's a lot more work that comes into play. And that's not to say there's not work that, goes into photography. But for instance, like creative director, art director, any of those type of directorial type of roles, one has to help or like lead the development or, be the catalyst to bring a certain kind of creative idea together or to lead where creative is going to go for any given project.
mm,
Whereas like a producer, you have to be very technical, very organized, know how to bring people together, know how to organize people, manage budgets, and like all the logistics of how to bring a project to life. And so with me, with my own personal projects, working with different entities, I feel like I have been in these type of roles and I have been able to accomplish and do projects successfully because of how, like, for me, it's like I love the challenge. I
right.
love being able to bring stuff together. I love coming up with ideas and I love executing. So all of those things put together, it has allowed me to continue to challenge myself rather than be simply a photographer where I'm just whether like bringing brought onto a project and
Hmm.
following creative that's already established or just being told what to do. It's like I like to lead, and I think that's what really excites me about all of those different areas.
Love that. Go back to what you said about you kind of deciding that you want to become something, and then eventually you kind of have to back it up. Do you think that there's a point, especially in the beginning, where you kind of, I don't want to say fake it till you make it type of thing, or like what type of mentality do you have to kind of like consciously decide that you are one thing right now, but you want to become that next thing? So, like, what kind of mindset do you have to kind of make that switch into what you want to become?
I think that all starts from an individual perspective,
Mm,
and the amount of work that you want to or are willing to put into any given scenario. For instance, there I could have easily just be like, okay, I just want to be a photographer and like that's it. And just try to find jobs and do things
mhm,
that are just strictly photography. But when you have a certain type of vision and the way you see when you see the world in a specific way, you are almost led to wanting to do more.
mhm.
And it's like it's just this feeling inside that leads you to like, I need to do this, I need to do that. And so to me, it's like a natural progression. So from my experience from being on different film sets or other productions and watching producers put things together or watching directors, lead a production, it's inspiring. And so when I'm already executing my ideas on my own and with, teams of people that are willing to help me bring them together, it's like I want to do more. I want to
Mm,
be able to know how to bring a project together. Like I want to know how to be able to develop a creative idea that turns into something more. Like it's something that is going to happen naturally depending on one person's like individual vision. And is I think that's the difference. Because some people are okay with just being where they at, doing what they're doing, and then there's some people that just want more,
right.
and that just happens.
Mm. I guess when you're creating these projects, these ideas, it obviously comes to a point where you're confident in your voice and your decision making to one, pitch that idea, but two, also execute. In terms of your growth as an artist, what did that look like? What does your confidence path look like in terms of in the beginning? How did you learn to get confident in your own ideas and know that this could be something that I could execute or this is something that it's worth pursuing?
I think there's no real like right answer to that. I
Mm,
think it's you just have to if you have to me and I'm only speaking from my own experience. It's like you just have to do it, and it's just like there is literally nothing else to it. And the thing is, like, I think that comes from almost like an educational type of perspective because like as I've looked through or like read about like artists of the past that inspire me, like Renee Magritte or an Annie Leibovitz
mm,
or an Urban Penn or a Jean Paul Good or any number of, of my predecessors, it's like they all had these certain things in common. It's just like they just did stuff. They did it.
mm,
And whether they were going to get recognition or not, like they had a certain type of drive to do stuff. And I think that in and of itself is the difference between people who are able to build a career around what they do and those who just do it, you know, as a one off or, as a hobby. Because when it comes down to anything that anyone does, it literally comes down to putting in the work. Like that
mm,
is it. And so from my beginnings, it has always been, all right, I have this idea. It might seem crazy, but I also want to see if I can pull it off.
mm,
And I think that's what makes me excited, and that's what kind of always kept me going